Greetings and salutations, Georgia Tech faithful. I am joined here by Alex, and we're going to answer your questions. I'm sure I'm well aware of what they probably are, but we'll do the best we can with the limited information that's available to us to get into all this tonight. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Took last week off. We'll probably, as the off season gets going, this will be a little more sporadic based on probably happening news and stuff, or as requested, so we don't need to bore you to death all the time.
Unless Damon at Bunch makes a run in the ACC.
Yeah, and I hold my breath on that. Having both of us having witnessed that in person, I think that if they do that, it'll be one of the most impressive coaching performances I've seen in a long time.
Yep.
But yeah, man, it's been weird. We had a different kind of like bowl schedule because the way finals rolled out and the bowl game being pushed up. So like we had basically two media avails. I was out of town for them for covering another game that I already had scheduled. So Alex had to do it. By the way, I literally hand to God don't know like what Brent's doing on the OC thing. So like you guys can try whatever. Like literally like I have no clue. Like, but anyways, going back to the bowl prep thing, they practiced some from the like after championship week through like that week that we didn't do a show, and then they've been practicing this past week. And Alex, the practices were all closed to us, which was interesting. And Alex went and did the two media avails, one with Brent, one with players, and then that's been it. The team will go down to Orlando tomorrow for the bowl game, and then they'll be down there until they play the game on Saturday. So they actually have like a full bowl week, a real actual bowl trip, because this is a decent bowl game. And they'll get to do some cool stuff. They have like different events planned. Let me see. I'll pull up the list of plans here so I can tell you guys a little bit about it. So there'll be like some stuff that we're not like. I'm not going down there to cover it. Alex isn't. The AJC isn't. Like we're not going to go spend a week in Orlando, especially around Christmas. But they're going to do some different stuff. They have like some different events, and then they have like a thing that they're going to do, like some sort of fun thing with kids that they're doing. And they'll practice down there in the afternoons at a couple of high schools. And then Wednesday, Christmas Eve day, Winky, the interim offensive coordinator, and Blake Gideon, the DC, will do a press conference working on getting someone to actually string for us to go to that. And then the BYU counterparts will do theirs. And then on Christmas Day, there's media avails with Brent Key and players, which is fascinating. And then on the 26th, there's a head coach press conference going on. So hopefully I will be there for that. I'm flying down Christmas Eve night. So to be there Friday for the head coaches at a joint press conference. And then apparently they're doing a Pop-Tarts Bowl menu tasting event at the stadium. So maybe Alex needs to get down there a little bit earlier for that one.
That's noon on Thursday. Pop-Tarts menu tasting event. They got some new stuff in the works.
But it was interesting. I got to go down to the Camping World Stadium and watch USF play. I typically will go watch USF play. I didn't go last year because they were in the Hawaii Bowl. There was no way in God's green earth I was going to sell that one to my wife. But I'll go down. I try to catch one or two of the games, as you guys know, on that site, and that's a little bit of a passion project, like keeping that afloat. And So I went down to watch them play Old Dominion, and then that started up a whole other spark of funny rumors because for some reason people were fixated on Kevin Decker, the OC at Old Dominion, and he ended up going to Memphis anyways. But they beat USF, who had like four coaches left, I think, that Alex Golish didn't take that coached the bowl game. So it was interesting how all that played out, and then getting to see the state. I'd never been to the stadium before, so it's okay. Like it's fine. The Orlando bit of it's nice. It's set up well for people to get in and out of, so that's nice. They seem to have plenty of concessions and stuff. So I'm excited to see what it's like. Obviously, that was not exactly a well attended bowl game with USF and Old Dominion. There was about 12,000. I think they said 15 was a ticket sold or whatever, but it looked like 12, 10, 12. Hopefully, it'll be a nice environment. So we'll
How's
see what
the
happens.
how's the press box situation? It's not in the corner behind some beams like Birmingham last year, right?
So it's like from the 30 to like the corner. And there's two main boxes. There's like a one where the beat writers sit, and then there's one where there's like TV and photo and stuff. And so that's what's going on. All right. So it's funny. I was supposed to talk. This is a whole other story saga. I was supposed to go. I was going to go down to meet Heartline. They had his intro press conference on Monday, December 15th. I had a flight on Sunday, December 14th to Tampa on Delta, and if y'all remember that day, it was very foggy in Atlanta. The whole city was fogged in. And then Tampa had a thunderstorm sit over the top of the airport and basically grind the airport to a halt. And so my flight got canceled. I got rebooked on two other flights that didn't go. Then my bag got trapped. I ended up just not going because it took so long for all that to happen. I couldn't drive down. So I ended up missing Heartline. So I'll probably go back down there in the spring and say what's up to him and get a chance to meet him, or maybe in the winter when things are chill. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
I think we talked about it before, but I like that hire a lot for them. I think he's a big up and coming guy. I think he's going to have a long career as a head coach.
Well, it's funny because when they hired Golish, he was like in my like top three guys to, if they weren't going to hire Key, that I wanted to see Georgia Tech look at when he was out of Tennessee. I knew kind of his MO and all that. I think that's a good hire for Auburn. I think they actually probably did better than they should have because they screwed around with Summerall, it sounded like, and put a lot of that was basically everyone. That was like a quiet secret that Summerall was going to go to Auburn, and then that all blew up. So it's been interesting to watch all that play out. You have some good stuff in the chat going on. Sorry, and yeah. So will there be more than 7,000 people to bowl? Obviously, you've never seen BYU travel, my man. BYU will have people. There's a lot of Tech fans I know going to the game too. I mean, it's Orlando. It's like right after Christmas. That's a fun trip for people. I think there'll be a decent Georgia Tech contingent. I'm optimistic about it. Would Haynes King be the youngest player in BYU's roster? No, because they have some guys who go mid time, like mid scholarship time on their mission trips. So, and not everybody does the mission trips. And no, they have some younger ones.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think as many. They don't have as many as they used to in the older days, coming back as 27 and 28-year-olds playing as they used to. So,
or Paul Johnson complaining about their 30-year-old defensive lineman. He was not thrilled by that matchup. This will be a great kind of tell for me to see how much Georgia Tech's improved on the lines of scrimmage compared to that era, how they square off with them. Bronco gave those teams hell. Him and Iowa and like Utah were like some of the worst matchups that Georgia Tech had back then, physicality wise. LSU. What do we get? Alex ain't married. I'm married.
I'm off the hook on that one.
I had my wife make a list of things she wanted, and I picked from it because I've learned over the years to not surprise her because my initial ideas are always something that she doesn't actually want. So she's getting things that she likes, like boots and There's a whole box of that stuff I got to wrap over here, actually sitting next to me. So yeah. So obviously everybody wants to know about the offensive coordinator situation. Going back to kind of what happened, Brent tried to keep Buster. There was like a whole lot of kind of back and forth over that. Obviously, Buster made the decision that he wanted to move on and go to Florida for his own reasons. Really, that hasn't come out in particular what the impetus was for him to make that jump. But he's an ambitious guy, always has been. So I assume that he thinks that will move him up to whatever his end goal is. And one of the interesting things about it is I don't feel like his end goal is necessarily being a head coach. So maybe he's trying to get positioned to be, an NFL OC or something else. Like, I don't know. But he made the move. So that puts Georgia Tech back in the market for an offensive coordinator. This will be the third coordinator hire Brent's made, right? Fourth. Sorry, fourth.
Yeah.
And he's following through his process. My independent take on this is that whoever he's hiring is coaching in a game around the time that Georgia Tech is playing, and that's why he has said that he's not going to say anything until after the bowl game and all this other stuff. So that's my jumping off point with this. I think if it was Chris Winkie, which has been the latest spin on the board as they've gone from different people. We've had the Kevin Decker. Well, they had the Chip Kelly thing when the Chip Kelly stuff came out. I would be shocked if that happens. I don't think that's the type of solution that Brent's looking for. It would be splashy, but I don't think that's what he's looking for. I think he's looking for somebody that wants to be here for a little bit. I would say that as you look at all of this, people were talking about Joe Craddock. I didn't think he was real. Kevin Decker, I didn't think was a fit. He's going to Memphis now. I felt like, is it Corey Dennis? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I think Brent, the Blake Gideon hire was pretty out there in terms of what you thought, but it was also a weird time to hire a coach because everyone had already settled into contracts for the next cycle at that point because that was in late January when Santucci went to the NFL. So what does that look like? I don't know. Brent's hard to work for too. It's a grind. You got to have somebody that wants to grind. I don't know that that's where Chip Kelly fits into all this either. So, but we'll see, what happens. All right, Alex, I'll let you jump in on this one. Do you think Philo jumped the gun going into the portal?
Let's see. I think that Philo heard a lot of stuff from people that he kind of let them influence his decision more than he had control over it. I don't know. It's frustrating because we've been told for a year and a half now that he's the guy. He's got all the tools and everything, and they had to keep him last spring, and everything was set up for him. And even up to 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was ready to roll. And things change in an instant these days. Whether it's once the portal opens or before the portal opens. And so he apparently got something he wanted out of it this past week and jumped the gun. I think he jumped the gun a little bit. That's my personal opinion, but I've seen some stuff the last couple of days where Florida's still going to go hard after other quarterbacks. So
yeah, they're recruiting Colton Joseph. They're recruiting
the Beck kid from Iowa State.
Beck. And there's one. The other rumor I heard is they're going to go after Chandler Morris after Virginia plays their bowl game. So John Summerall did this at Tulane when he got there. He brought in a bunch of different quarterbacks and let them fight it out. He did it again this year too after they lost Mensa. So
yeah,
because what's his name, the BYU quarterback Renslov, he came in late, didn't he? because he got in trouble at BYU
Yeah,
or whatever. And
he had some off the field things that forced
yeah,
him to go elsewhere. Yeah, I just hope he doesn't have those regrets. I mean, obviously the decision's not final. You can, I mean, it's as final as it can be before the portal opens. But
and he cleaned out his locker. Like, let's
yeah,
be real here, and we talked about on the site. Like, when you do that, and said goodbye, sent goodbye messages to teammates and stuff, and like when you do that, it seems like it gets into this thing. So I'll jump in on this one. Did Buster want Aaron to start this year? Maybe before Haynes decided to come back. I think what people are confusing is maybe the idea that, and I got jumped on Twitter for this too, but like if Haynes was struggling in a game, there were a couple. One of which turned out to not really be his fault, which was a Colorado game. If you went back and watched what happened live, it looked like it was his fault. When you watched it again, you could kind of see it wasn't. But there were some times where he struggled, and it felt like from talking to people that maybe he wanted to give him a series to see if he could shake things up, and that didn't happen, and wasn't going to probably happen with Brent. Um, and they were going to ride or die with King, and I'm curious that factored into it. I know I'm fairly confident that Buster wanted to play Philo in the Notre Dame game instead of Zach, um, which would have been interesting last year. And then wanted to probably start him against Virginia Tech too, and ended up having to bring him off the bench because Zach was so beat up. So we'll see what happens. That's my own read on it. I've never discussed that particular thing with Buster. Obviously, this is not a conversation that I would have with him right now, anyways. I just wished him luck, and we kind of exchanged pleasantries, and that was sort of the end of it. The thing is, people got to remember, too, man, like I've done this so long. I've worked with the same people over and over again in different roles at different times. So I'm not going to go and like go scorched earth on anyone. I'm not approaching this as a fan, so I have to be a little more level-headed in how I look at all this than like, and that was the thing I wanted to encourage fans to do. I didn't is not to like go scream at Philo on Twitter or whatever, or Instagram or wherever you add him at, or spit on him if you see him or whatever. Don't do that. Like what you need to do is just be cool and let's see what happens. Is there a chance he comes back? I would say anything can happen. Do I expect that? No, but I mean, he was willing to take Romello back last year after everything. And it was a similar kind of situation where he walked out. It was obviously a guy who didn't have as much skin in the game as Philo did, haven't been in school so long. I think the thing that gets me getting back to the earlier question is you're this far down the line towards graduating from Georgia Tech. You got a chance to be the starter this year, upcoming year, pretty much unopposed. Um, your market value might be even higher a year from now than it is today. Like he might be a $5 million quarterback. That seems to be the ceiling right now. From talking to some people, that's what certain ACC schools that are not Georgia Tech that are known for taking portal quarterbacks are apparently thrown out there to some guys who aren't even in the portal yet. So I would say that my advice would have been to finish up your degree and then play 2 years wherever you want and get your year as a starter at Georgia Tech. But like clearly that wasn't his line of thinking or isn't what's going on there. So we'll see.
yeah, I'm the same way. I don't. When I see people like quote tweeting his farewell thing and like saying crazy things like the don't do that. That's whether you feel like that or not. That's bad because
Well, this is what happens. The fan base moves on, right? Like everyone
yeah,
was upset with Malik. Malik went into the portal for like 5 minutes and then came back out. Like it's sort of a bargaining position as well. Like I was talking to somebody that's involved with the tech collective, and um, they were like, "Hey, this is what it is now. Some guys are going to test. It's like opting out of a contract in pro sports. Like you see guys, if you don't follow like pro baseball, or there are these things called like a player year, player option, sometimes a club option or player option. The team can opt out of a contract or a player can opt in for an extra year. You see a lot of times you'll see it like my Red Sox, like Trevor Story, who's like this guy who's been notoriously injured, former Colorado Rocky shortstop. He ain't going to opt out of his player year in his contract because he's going to get way more money from the Red Sox on that original deal than he would as a free agent right now. So those guys opt into that player contract year. It's like 4+1 or whatever it is. Basically, these guys are opting out and creating a free agent stir for themselves by going into the portal to see what the market is.
And
Yeah, I am expecting that to happen. I think that's where CJ Bailey's going if he whatever's going on there. That's not from inside. That's not inside baseball. It's just my expectation.
And the other thing about that is the other players see that and kind of see how quickly a fan base can turn on you. Other recruits see that, like, it's just not a good look. I know it's old school. You want to be tough on kids and everything, but it's just not where we are now. And
The
kids,
the one
kids remember
caveat
that.
the one caveat I'll give you, Alex, is that it is a leader, like the most leadership position on the team. So that's where it gets tougher.
Right.
Like to bring that guy back. But I mean, I was talking to y'all know I'm close with Zach and his family, and Zach left, and Zach's retiring from football and going into coaching now. But they were telling me that they regretted even doing what they did this year, and like we would have should have just hung around and been like the third string quarterback or whatever attack, because he wasn't happy with doing all the bouncing around and going in the portal and all that stuff. But to me, it's a weird thing, but you don't know what goes through the minds of these young people either, man. I can say this: I didn't make the best decisions when I was his age. I'm sure Alex didn't. Like, I'm sure most of the people on here that are older than that could go back and look at decisions they made when they were 18, 19, 20, 21 years old and be like, oh my God, what was I thinking? So, it is what it is, man. Like,
Throw bad decision making and being young and throw in millions of dollars too, and it's a
I can't
crazy
even
recipe.
imagine having like 50 grand when I was,
Yeah.
that age, let alone, over $1 million. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep. But going ahead on the board, I know there's a question about Isaiah Canyon and his situation. Well, I mean, unless something's changed in the last 3 days, he was there on Wednesday when I was
He's
there.
been
So
practicing. He's stayed with the
yeah,
team. He's not doing anything.
so
Isaiah is in an interesting position because I feel like the external thing and what we've heard about the Philo situation was that it was a take it or leave it. Like, you got to come now, go in the portal and come here, stop playing there. And, um, come with us now. And it was sort of a take it or leave it. Apparently those were the sort of conversations that may have happened. This is all hearsay, so I'll preface it by that, but that was what I heard. And so we'll see what happens.
I'm not going to the transfer portal. I'm Georgia Tech's the only team I want to cover. As long as Kelly will keep me around, that's the only team I want to cover. So I'm not going to cover Florida or the SEC. The SEC doesn't do anything for me, so I'm happy where I am. No portal.
As far as I mean, so you're talking about different things here. Brent's contract and what's going on with that is not as tied to the NIL collective part of this. The rev share is fully funded. It's been fully funded. Now it's allocated, however it's allocated 70 percent football and 30 everything else or whatever. It's somewhere in that range, 60 to 70% football. And then you have a separate NIL on top of that these days for now that's legal. And that's where everyone kind of differentiates themselves, right? Because most schools are paying the full rev share. So what differentiates you? Well, Ohio State or Miami might be spending on top of the 20 in rev share, whatever they take out of that, 17, let's say, they're spending another, 20, $30 million in NIL. That's where Brent has been raising money, and that isn't really tied to his contract. That's just been separate fundraising that's been going on all along. The monies to hire more staff, to hire better staff, to pay top dollar for coordinators and assistant coaches and analysts and things like that. That's a whole other thing. they can't. No one can go in the portal yet. You can't go in until January 2nd. That's why this is also stupid to me. Because the thing with Philo was like he wasn't probably gonna play in the bowl game, so like he's not an injury risk really. So what was the only rationale for that is somebody told him he had to do it. Like there's no rationale to walk away from the team now. Look at Isaiah. Isaiah could go in as soon as the bowl game ends on January 2nd, like a week later, and then test free agency. Like, and it doesn't really change anything for him. It's weird. So I don't know. I'm not making excuses for anyone, man. Do I think? Oh, here's. Do I know? Do I think they'll reoffer Nehemiah Chandler or Brandon Best? Brandon was playing. Like I love Brandon. He's a great dude. That would surprise the hell out of me. I think he was playing guard. That's not really what they need in the portal. He left to go play, like to get playing time. Nehemiah, that one was a weird one. I don't really know what all went on there. So they dressed him all last year. He was like a guy who was on the cusp of playing. He was just really, really skinny, to be honest with you. Like really honest, he was just real thin and needed to put weight on to tackle better, and clearly did that in his play. So I don't know. Those two haven't come up yet. I'm just now starting to get into the portal stuff. We've been so inundated with coaching search, coaching stuff. Remember, they got to fill whatever defensive changes Brent's making, plus offensive coordinator and a running backs coach at the minimum. So there's a lot. You want to grab some questions, my man?
Check it out. Am I echoing here? Let's see. Is BYU going to come out even more fired up after watching JMU and Tulane? That's the first question. I don't know. I don't think it has any effect on it. BYU obviously like being in the playoff, but they didn't do enough out of conference for their Big 12 conference to matter. They lost to the same team twice, so I think they'll come out motivated no matter what.
That's interesting. Why are you asking about the backup quarterback at Ohio State? I don't think he's in the portal or announced he's going in yet. So that's an interesting. I think he scored a garbage time touchdown against somebody this year. Like he's a junior from South Dakota, I think. That's all I know about that dude. They're gonna vet a lot of quarterbacks, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Nancy, I'm wearing my Falcons pullover after another meaningless win that they got today.
All right, so let's go back in time to 2022, December of 2022, when Brent gets the head coaching job. A few days after the Georgia game, that all kind of went down. So he said was it 36 names? He said Alex in his
Yeah.
He had in his binder this time. He had like about 40 or 50 guys. The guy he wanted to hire last time was Sean Lewis, who ended up going to Colorado. That all got done really quickly, and Dion had that everyone was excited about Dion at that point, and so Sean went there. He ended up getting benched as a play caller as that season went on because Dion's son and him didn't get along, maybe, or something. I don't know. And then he left, and he's now the head coach of San Diego State. So Sean Lewis was like the A1 guy that he went after last time. And then there were just series after series of interviews and different guys. There was Chip Lindsey. There was Buster was like sort of at the back of the pack and just worked his way up and used every point of contact between Brent Key and himself, every person that knew the two of them, to work on Brent basically. And he kept pushing for the job and wanting the job and pushing and pushing and pushing. And then ultimately kind of won Brent over time, because initially Brent's reaction sort of was like, no, I got other guys I like more, straight up. Like that's what I'd heard. And eventually settled on Buster, and that worked out really well. And the same thing with Santucci. Santucci had been a guy who'd kind of flown under the radar a little bit because of Mike Elko's big profile as a defensive coach. And he went through this whole process of different defensive coordinators, different guys. Because remember, they had Thacker who had helped him get the interim job, so he got to stay for a year. And then that next offseason, they got rid of Andrew and Kevin Shearer, who had been the co-DCs, and that was how he got Santucci. And again, it was kind of a lengthy process, a lot of different guys. The Gideon thing was weird just because that was a time where there weren't really many options. Everyone had a job at that point. So like he had to think a little bit outside of the box to get that next guy.
Falcons questions.
Oh, is this?
I don't.
People asking.
I don't think he should get another year, but I think he's going to get another year. That's the unfortunate part. I think he's going to get at least 3, and then we'll go right back into the Arthur Blank head coaching hiring process.
Draft picks this year, anyways. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Right? Well, they don't have a first round, right?
I just want them to, for once, just if they're going to make the changes, do head coach and GM at the same time, and just we don't need this mix and match mess that they've done in the last few hirings. It doesn't work in the NFL, and I don't know. I don't have confidence in Arthur Blank to hire a good head coach anyways. Great guy, horrible owner. That's my opinion.
When you get rid of Rich McKay, isn't he like the main issue? That's what I always
Yeah, he still tries to have some influence in it. He says he does like most non-football stuff, but he was definitely involved in the Raheem hire this past time. So,
gun to your head, who's QB1 next year? I think it's somebody that's not on the team right now.
I think so too. Only thing like,
unless it's Grady Adamson.
Yeah, I was gonna say Grady, but like I think Knowles is gonna like give it his best shot. I just don't know if I don't know if you go into the season with him as a starter, he's got the ability. I don't know if he's like a consistent quarterback on this level. I mean, I want him to be, but
he's got a nice arm. He hasn't. He's thrown the one pass or whatever. So like, I don't know. I don't understand this question. How do you feel about Brent taking Buster when he wanted different guys? Are you assume you're a guy based on our demographics of our videos? Was like your significant other the first person you ever went out with or wanted to go out with? The answer is going to be probably no, unless you're like some sort of weird person that like met their dream partner in like middle school. The answer is almost conceivably no. That's not how life works. Like, no offense, like, but everyone's adjusting on the fly, making the best decisions they can for them. It's like hiring staff to work for you or anything else. Like it's gonna depend on circumstances and what makes the most sense for your business. And Brent thought that his organization at the time, Buster, made the most sense for him more than Chip Lindsey, and I forget who the other 2 guys were. It's funny because Chip just left Michigan to go to Missouri to be Trink's OC after his OC got the Missouri State job.
That's how coaching hirings go. Like I think head coaches go into these things with a short list of like who they really want, and then I mean you interview the guys, and if there's a guy that blows you away, like he may not have been who you wanted to start with, but like if he makes an impact, like you change your mind real fast. Like you don't always go into a coaching hiring process and always get the guy you initially want. That's why they interview so many guys.
So Tripp, they're already allocated significant money to the defense, and they're allocated money for Philo. Like their whole plan is based on this. I don't think they want to be like, like Oklahoma with kind of a dysfunctional offense that your defense has to like carry you. That's not really a viable way to win either, unless you feel really confident about one of those 2 young guys. You have to have like a QB1, like, and whoever it is, whoever it is, you just got to let it go.
The roster question of who can take a jump, I'm going to go back to somebody I had as my breakout before the years. Tajay Butler. He finished the season strong, and I think he's going to, if he continues that trajectory, I think he'll be one of the main linebackers next year, and I think he's got the tools to be very good. So that's one of my guy that I could see on the roster that makes a big jump next year.
I would say, there's Phoenix Felton's one in particular on the defensive side, I think, has a chance to be special. Amontre Bradford's another guy I think that will jump up. And on the offensive side, I would go with Jordan Allen.
I don't know who Smooth for Life is, everybody. So he's a frequent poster. I used to think he was Brent Key on our board, but I don't think that's the truth.
No, he's up more than Brent Key is.
Here's a question from the board, from the message board. Does Tech have someone actually scouting lower divisions for potential portal GMs? Sorry. I mean, I think they're turning over every stone. They
have an entire department of scouting.
Yeah,
like they have an entire. It's called like college scouting, and they're looking at every level of football, and you're looking for that stuff. Yeah, like if some guy's running for 3,000 yards and at Ferris State or whatever, like you're gonna notice that person. Like I picked that one because that team keeps popping up in my timeline. But like whatever school it is, like.
Berry
they
College.
look everywhere, man. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Cohn came to Georgia Tech from Shorter. Like
that's right. I was on the hill yesterday at Shorter for a little Christmas.
I saw Kevin. Ironically, I saw Kevin yesterday when I was walking to the basketball game. He was leaving with his family. They had a GTA like Christmas party or something, and I was just laughing because the game was getting ready to tip off. It was much closer to tip off than I usually get there, and he was leaving there. I was like, "You're not even gonna like stay for a quarter, man." I didn't say. I just said I love him. I love Kevin, but that's funny. Well, I don't think Matt Harpering has that in him anymore to be a 40 catch a year tight end. I think you're talking about Luke. I'm just giving you a hard time, Steve. Yeah, I think Luke's got tremendous potential to be like a really good pass catching tight end. You can see it there.
He's going to need to step up because they're losing some big time, and that'll be a position where they try to go get some proven guys in the portal because the other guys coming back and the 2026 tight end guys, I don't know if they're going to be able to count on them from the beginning.
I already got a portal. That's what the one list I have actually already is a portal tight end list. I think I know what they're doing. So we'll see. This week is when I'll start to get into the portal stuff a little bit with you guys, and I'll start to give some ideas of what I'm expecting and some numbers and maybe a few names of guys that are already going in that I'm keeping an eye on.
I love the helmet sprinkles. I think it's a great touch. You might as well embrace, if you're going to go to a Pop-Tart Bowl, you might as well embrace it fully. And
hey, it's the thumbnail for this video, man. Like if you go look on YouTube.
Here's a good off the subject message board question. Favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas Vacation.
That was exactly that's the easy one for me to say.
Or Die Hard. I mean, I love Die Hard.
I've had that argument. Many people about the Die Hard being a Christmas movie. I'm trying to think of like one that I watch every year that's kind of underrated.
Of the kids ones, I like the Polar Express. That's pretty good. Like of the more modern, like that's actually a pretty entertaining, like kids Christmassy movie.
I mean, every year since I was little, I watched both Home Alone and Home Alone 2. It's just like a tradition.
My 15-year-old asked if my 5-year-old could watch Home Alone. I was like, absolutely not. He was like, but I was like, my 5-year-old's a little bit of a maniac. I was like, absolutely not. He's going to be like dropping paint cans on our heads from the ceiling or something like, or he'll get freaked out by it.
Yep. I'm going to Orlando, driving down there.
A dark horse is the Scrooged with Bill Murray. That was really good, like in the 80s, like late 80s. Alex probably never seen that.
No, I don't think I have. I used to watch Christmas Story, like when they did the 24 hours thing. I'd watch it throughout the day. But
I
I
don't
don't.
like Christmas Story,
It
man.
it was. I used to like it a lot. I don't know. It's just it's it it's not as high on my list as it used to be. Um, Jingle All the Way is kind of a funny, weird movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um,
Philip, you keep asking about scripting plays. I don't know what to tell you, Philip. So usually there's a opening script for like your first drive or maybe your first couple series, and then after that you got to go off script. So that was interesting. Like Dave Patnode, who was the OC with Jeff, he usually had an interesting opening script in a game, and then could not adjust once the game went on. Felt like Buster was better at that than his script. Usually, a lot of times it went off the rails because like Haynes would miss a throw, or like a guy would drop a ball, or have a false start or something. Like they always had something. They'd have plays dialed up early, and they wouldn't happen. It depends on the staff and what they want to do too. Sean Lewis is the head coach at San Diego State University, so no, I don't think he's in play. He was rumored for other head coaching jobs this offseason, so no, you're not going to get a sitting head coach that's uh, working. He was 9-3 this season and is going to a bowl game, so no, he's not in play. Sorry, yeah, Philip, I don't know how to tell you otherwise. What's going on? To be clear, regardless of new hires, are expecting Winky and McKnight to be on the staff next year, still up in the air depending on what happens. I think everything's up in the air, depends on the hire, except for Alan Mogridge, who they brought in. I think Brent wants to keep both those guys. I think Winky is more likely to be here. I think McKnight sticking around and coaching through the bowl game is a good sign. It probably depends on the hire and how he clicks with them, what he decides to do. And also, Florida kind of may have screwed him over a little bit, trying to force him to not coach wide receivers. So I really like Trent McKnight. I think he's like one of the sharpest X's and O's guys on the staff, and I think he recruits well. I think Chris is a really good coach. I think he's done an excellent job developing different quarterbacks there. Even guys like Brody and like the young guys, he's done a good job with in the past. Like guys who maybe aren't going to play, he's done a nice job developing them, keeping them engaged through everything. He's sort of been the glue guy in that room for those quarterbacks. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to go after Amari's brother or not. I would assume there'd be some interest there. Is Deshard a possibility? I'd love to have him back. You would let him call plays. I think he's a future head coach. I think it's a huge jump from being a running backs coach who's never called plays to calling plays at any level. I think that's not going to happen. I think Deshard's making $900,000 as a running back coach in the NFL. I cannot imagine he'd be in a hurry to come back to college and have to recruit. I know he wants to come back to Atlanta. I know he wants to be a head coach someday, but that would be very surprising to me. It would be him making a decision with his heart, not as like a career move to come back, because he would have to come back as he'd have to come back as assistant, not as the offensive coordinator.
And I think he's in a pretty secure spot in Detroit. They're not changing
Yeah, they're one of the
staffs
better
anytime
teams.
soon. Yeah, I mean they might miss the playoffs this year, but I don't think they're getting rid of Dan Campbell's staff anytime soon. So
Okay, so this is what you're trying to ask me: is Brant and them scripting the plays for that? Not necessarily, because once you get out of the opening possessions of games, like you're down a distance things and all those things shuffle so much. You have things that you like, things that you think will work in situations, but it's not as scripted. They're not going to just run the next play on the sheet because of where they are. They might look at what they had scripted and be like, this is a good call on this down and distance, or what the front is. Plus, the other X factor, all of it, is how is the front playing, the defensive line adjusting, what are they doing well, how's your line blocking. If you script your first 40 plays, you'll be dead in the water because the other team will adjust too well. Should hire Amari's mom. She's quite an entertaining character on social media. I enjoy her.
here's a question going all the way back to last year. What was the story with the clean old fashioned hate about the rumor that Philo is going to sit out to save his red shirt? I don't want to take words out of Kelly's mouth, but I'm sure I think he's talked about this before about the only reason that came out that week is because they felt that King was healthy enough to
Well,
do
what
everything.
happened? So what happened is Aaron told his coach that he wasn't going to play in the game because Haynes was healthy, and then that got around. This is what I was told after the fact, and then Aaron had to call him and like yell at him or something, or was maybe not his head coach, someone on that staff at PAX, and they that got around real fast to Athens because I remember I bumped into I was went to visit a couple of friends who were tailgating before the game, and I bumped into Thacker. He was walking down. The first thing he walks up to me and says, he goes, "Is Philo not playing today?" And I was like, I reported what I reported. I was like that Haynes is good to go and can throw the football. We had been in practice that week and seen him throwing the football fine, but like, that was that point where no one knew. And then I remember like people taking shots at me saying I was wrong and that this wasn't going to happen. If I was going to start the game, blah, 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 blah. And then Haynes played an unbelievable game, played his heart out, and was clearly able to throw the football just fine. And it healed up. So, yeah, that was a weird, I don't know, people it's the internet, man. This is this is a tip of the iceberg compared to the stuff I used to see covering some SEC programs. So like, it is what it is. Dale and Penson question.
There's going to be opportunity there, so like him and the other young cornerbacks are going to have every chance in the world to take that
I think
next
they'll go
step.
get a one veteran guy in the portal to push too that
Yeah.
started somewhere. But yeah, Dalen came on quite a bit. The what I was told about Dalen is just he was further behind learning the defense and what to do and stuff, and just from a physical standpoint, from not having the previous 6 months. Because remember, he came in the summer and wasn't an early enrollee because he wanted to run track, and that held him back from probably playing this year. They had thought going into the year he was going to play, and then Elgin Sessions did so well that kind of pushed him back even further. That's why they ended up using him only on teams, really. Yeah, I mean, oops, sorry. Yeah, Winky. No, they're. I mean, at the end of the day, man, like, um, on the quarterback thing, it's next man up. There's no one that Brent's going to go cry in a cry chair over leaving the team. Like, that just isn't how it works. It's whether it's staff or anything else in the program, he's going to just move on to the next thing. And like, that's how these guys are wired, man. Chris, coached and played in the NFL. Like, he knows what it's like. Like, this is a results business and things change in a heartbeat. So he's, they're prepared to get Graham Knowles ready to be the backup in the bowl game, Grady Adamson be QB3, and then they'll move on from there going into spring with whoever's here. They'll, I'm sure, bring someone in, but you'll have Knowles and Adamson and Cole Bergeron, who they just signed. Those will be an interesting grouping. Is picking those see as hard as picking a favorite Pop-Tart. I'm not part. So my mom was talking to me about this because she saw the Pop-Tart bowl thing and she was like, we never had Pop-Tarts. I was like, no, it was like, you didn't buy them. That wasn't something we ever had in our house growing up. The only other time I ever had Pop-Tarts was at like a sleepover or something. So it was not something I experienced till really college, till like roommates had it around. It was not something that was ever really a part of my life. So yeah, my kids don't have them now either. They were very excited. I brought back a bunch of Pop Tarts from the kickoff event in Charlotte because they wanted you to take like boxes of them home with you, like they were out of samples. So I brought some for my kids because I'm not going to eat that, and like, that's what it is.
I had plenty of Pop Tarts.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends if you were. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like we didn't eat junk food. We had Kool-Aid and other stuff, man. Like, so I'm not like my mom wasn't like holier than thou. It just was something that never occurred to her to buy, I guess. Like, so yeah, like Like, just didn't. I mean, I like the strawberry frosted ones when I've had them, but like that's about as far as it
Chocolate,
goes.
the chocolate fudge. I've stated my case for the strawberry unfrosted as being my favorite. Yeah, I mean, I eat plenty of Pop Tarts still do.
Yeah,
I
I'm sure
think,
you housed the box you bought the other day, right?
yeah,
Right.
yep, I got it. They were giving away Pop Tarts at the basketball game on Tuesday. It was, I'm sure Haynes autographed a few Pop Tart boxes during it in that line.
What's cool is the first to turn another in for tampering. I did. Wasn't it Nebraska? They tried suing Miami over that corner that went to or DB, whatever it was, that went to flip back those from Florida. Lucas was the name.
I
Shoot,
think there was one too with USC and Tennessee, maybe a receiver in the last few years. I can't remember the guy's name.
Xavier
Um,
Lucas.
I don't think any like
Oh, sorry, that was Wisconsin, not Nebraska. Sorry,
yeah, yeah,
Cornhuskers.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's going to turn people in because everybody knows they're all doing it. So
it was like
unless
the
you have like a
Pacific coach went after Damon
yeah, like unless
over
you have
Oral
a
Washington.
specific like coach or guy that you want to get after, you're not going to do it because like I mean I hate it. It's the world we're in. Like everybody's doing it. Um, yeah, like it's not going to be a whole lot of turning each other in. NCAA is the one that's got to get control on things. I don't.
Yeah, good
Um,
luck with that.
yeah, I mean, and then they don't have a whole lot of power right now, so it's
Don't
just
bring up Albert Means. That's those are some dark stories that Schlabach's told me about Albert Means over the years. Like what happened there. Everyone tampers. Everybody is recruited dirty. Like over the years. Like if you don't think that's going on, whether you're Clemson or whoever, like it's gone on everywhere. But tampering's been going on for as long as anyone can imagine. There was like a movie in the '80s where like some set like back in the like '40s, and they were like trying to seduce a football player to come to some school. So like Mr. All American or something. I don't know what the movie was.
let's see. I don't. I've never done smoking, so I don't know. Pop Tarts are what's going to
Oh,
probably
I
give
thought
me
I misread that as smoking Pop Tarts, and I was like, "What?"
like in a smoker. That would
Or
be
like
interesting.
smoking Pop Tarts.
Here's a basketball question. Bigger issue for basketball: talent or coaching? Um, I think it's just whole all. It's just all different. For
It's really money is what their issue
yeah,
is.
I think Damon's a good basketball coach. He's not like a he comes from being in the NBA for the last several years of where you have the better guys and you let them go play, and um, he that's what he wants to get to eventually at Georgia Tech if he gets enough time. But right now they're not good enough to do that. Like you got to have something X's and O's wise. It's going to give you like even the playing field, and I don't think that's really like the coaching style of Damon. He's a guy that wants to roll the ball out there and see who's better. And um, I mean, I think he's come a long way in the last year and a half. Like he has a lot more stuff on the court that he does than he was when he first started. I think he figured it out real fast. But yeah, they don't have a ton of talent right now.
The answer is no. They're in the bottom half of the league. It is relative. Pretty much, you can track the NIL and ACC basketball based on like how teams are faring in the standings. It pretty much goes hand in hand. Boston College is the worst, and they're the worst team, and it kind of goes from there. Tech's kind of overachieved relative to where they are NIL wise in basketball. Uh, Again, man, this is that tinfoil hat conspiracy theory stuff. No, it doesn't. If he hires someone at a school that no one covers or doesn't have like a huge media presence, then it is very easy to keep that stuff quiet as long as agents aren't talking. Like it is, there's tons of stuff that's kept quiet. It just is what it is. I was told has an ankle injury. Damon said he expects him to be back on the 28th when none of us are there except for Rod for the FAMU game. So we'll see.
Rod's not going to Orlando?
No, he's not.
Let's see here. Here's a good question to kind of get everything back in perspective. It says, I know there's a lot going on, but how do we lose sight of the fact that we have a chance for a 10-win season for only the 10th time in school history? I think that's a good point.
I mean, I think that's what Brent's focused on
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, and he's trying to not. Now, here's the thing: Brent's interviewed other coaches, like even other positions outside, like he's interviewed running backs coaches and stuff. Like he is working on his staff stuff, but like the focus is trying to win the game. It's just is what it is. Like it's just a process, and like they want to win the game, and they want to win it for Haynes more than anything. I think they feel like they let him down, and how important it is for the program, these seniors, and this is the core group that kind of coalesced around Brent, Amari Harvey, and JJ and Haynes, and those guys, Jamal, Malik. Those are the sort of core guys who believed in Brent and what he was doing. So they want to win the game.
Reading through.
Here's a good one. What's the best bowl week event you've seen for a team you covered in past seasons? So this one's easy. It was the Rose Bowl. They took us to Lowry's Steakhouse for free dinner, like at a prime rib thing with like the little tray they wheel out, and we had dinner with I was out there covering Alabama, and it was what ended up being Saban's last game, and the team and all the media got to eat like they shut the whole restaurant down and had dinner for all of us. That was probably about the coolest one. The Sun Bowl folks like take over this hotel, and they just have like an open bar and like bring in food from local restaurants, and like it is just help yourself. I know Rod got blottoed in there pretty bad the last time Tech was out there. They were like pouring like double shots of stuff, like it was stiff drinks, and that one's pretty good too. Oh, I didn't see Paul. I wasn't there for when Paul sang in and danced with the lady in the sombrero. But yeah, there's several open bars. I think there will be one in Orlando, so Alex and I may need to go check that out. The Sun Bowl, I went to dinner with the Conyers Mafia guys at this steakhouse that's on a ranch outside of El Paso, and that was really, really awesome too. That was good. Kiffin was there. Remember, he had the black eye, and they got mad at me because I took a early viral picture of him when he finally took his sunglasses off in the post game press conference, and one of the people with the bowl got upset because they didn't realize who I was and what I was doing, because I took a picture of him with his black eye. He claimed that he got hit with a football or something, but it looked like someone had clocked him. Cattleman's. That was the name of the place. That was awesome.
Who was the DB that had the expletive on the interview afterward? I always forget.
Was it Rod? It was Rod Sweeting, right?
That sounds right.
I think it was Rod Sweeting.
That was I love Paul Johnson's expression on the stage when he said that.
Yeah, it was Rod Sweeting. That's who did it. That was awesome. That was so funny. What happened to Jamie Felix? No one knows. He was dismissed from the team at some point. He actually got his degree from Georgia Tech. I assume that there was a reason why he was dismissed. And he tried to go in the portal. No one picked up on him. So in the past, went into the portal. He's gone in like 3 different times, and no one's picked him up. He had some talent. He never flashed anything that we saw in practice that made us go, wow. But yeah. Let's take a second here before I forget and thank our sponsor. It's a little late for Christmas probably, but Section 103s is the best place to get your Georgia Tech gear. Alex is a big fan. I'm a big fan of these people too. Great people. They're expanding their horizons now. They're starting to do other schools. Or they just added USF to their ranks. But and it's cool gear made for fans by fans. And so like I even know with USF they brought back some designs that have been out of print for a long time from the early days with Jim Levitt there. With Tech, you get the Brett Key hoodie, you get all this other stuff, Haynes King stuff, North Avenue Trade School. I'm sure whoever ends up being the quarterback this next year, they will do some stuff like that for them too. So check out section103.com for all of your gear needs for Georgia Tech, and check out their other schools for friends that you want to buy stuff for too. Or if you got a side team like they talk about in the Dr. Pepper commercials.
And you like Kelly said, it might be too late to get stuff by Christmas, but you can. They do have gift cards. I did that for my couple of my family members last year. Got some Section 103 gift cards and print them out, and there they are on Christmas Day.
Yeah, Jamie, by the way, got his degree. Jamie Felix. Like, so I was cool. I had no idea that he had stayed in school this whole time. So I was happy for him for that. I do not know when the Section 103 guys graduated. I will ask them the next time I talk to them.
I think somebody should give them the idea of a Jordan Vandenberg laundromat T-shirt idea. I think that'd be a good seller.
Or Hunter one with Jordan Vandenberg for the big game Hunter.
Oh man, that was a great summertime thread.
When he was like hunting, he went on safari in Africa back home and was hunting big game.
I think he tried to kill every different type of animal on the continent of Africa.
Oh, we had a long talk about it this summer. Like he was telling me all about it. Like he was. That's the only time I've seen that dude get really animated. Was like he was talking about his hunting exploits.
I think I told you. I follow these kids on Instagram, and I think it was one of the. I think it might have been AJ Hoffler, but he had like a picture, an Instagram story of one day this past season. Vandenberg came like straight in from a deer hunt, like he just had the like everything on. He had like the blood on him and everything. It was pretty funny. I guess he's a big time hunter.
Yeah, he showed. Yeah, I remember seeing that. He showed up with like the coveralls that were covered in blood and like the camo coverall. It's very funny because like it's not what you would expect. Like, yeah, him and like was that offensive Pierce Quick? They would have like got on like gangbusters. That I remember when he quit the team, Brent just said, "I think he's gonna be in like a deer blind for like the next 6 months somewhere, and like no one can reach him." Yeah, so like yeah, guys are into that, man. Are really into it.
Here's a question about BYU. Does BYU have an advantage in the bowl game due to less turnover? I think they have an advantage because they're a really good team. They were
a top 15 team all season.
Yeah,
so that's one thing.
But that was one of the questions I asked Key during his media this Tuesday. It's like, how much does that kind of, or I asked him something similar, but how much does that kind of affect? And he's obviously going to downplay it and everything, but he said he said they got plenty of staff to like fill in those roles. He actually made a joke about the SID holding up cards at practice. Mike Flynn was standing there. He's like, yeah, we got guys to hold cards up during practice. It's not like we don't have enough bodies out there, but I don't know. I mean, coaching turnover happens to every staff. I hadn't been plugged into BYU. I'm sure they've got something going on, but
so I just watched USF play Old Dominion. Old Dominion had their staff together because their OC left after the game, and USF had like I said, I think there were 4 coaches left on the staff of coaches. Like the D-line coach was the interim, the tight ends coach was the OC for the game. They had the running backs coach, and they had the linebacker coach and the DC, and that was it. And they managed to that wasn't why they lost the game. They lost because their quarterback got knocked unconscious in a very unfortunate hit. He got hit like square in the hip and fell like head first on the ground and knocked himself out. And that was basically why they lost the game. But like they were in it, and Old Dominion was a good team, like a fairly level matchup. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that matters as much when you have, especially you have 3 weeks to prepare. Like it's not like they. If this was a 1 week turn, this would be a lot harder. I think if you were down so much staff, but you got to think about how big the staff is now too that Brent's brought in. It's way bigger. You have like Brian Bohannon can just coach running backs. Like you have guys there that can do different pieces of it. Coach Mo's back to coach the offensive line. Um, the pieces that Buster took with him, the biggest one is really Buster being gone more than anything. And then from the player standpoint, um, I guess if Harrison Moore gets banged up, then you might see Jamison Riggs play center. But like aside from that, there's not really anything particularly meaningful in that either. And yeah, the USF, by the way, in that game, their starting quarterback didn't play, their best receiver didn't play, and then like three of their defensive linemen didn't play in the game, and their star linebacker got knocked out in the second quarter. And that was when the game kind of changed. He was like one of the best players in their conference that year. So when you take all that into account, they still played well. Bowl games are weird, man. Like I don't judge anything off bowl games. It is really random what happens in these things. They're almost like the equivalent of an exhibition game in some ways. When you look at it, like it's never been super indicative of like if Georgia Tech and USC that year they played in the Sun Bowl, which we were just talking about, like USC was the number one team in the country going into that season, and Tevin Washington out through their quarterback and the Sun Bowl. Like weird stuff happens in these games, man. Like I don't know. Oh, Bear Bachenmeyer. I don't think he's going anywhere. Bear seems pretty happy at BYU. Or you're talking about? Maybe he's asking me about Byron Brown. I think Byron Brown's going to Auburn with Alex Golish. Like I think that's been a done deal. That's just being kept on the down low. Like I've heard teams aren't even bothering to like offer him money.
I was looking up the all-time stats again. I think I said it on the last show, but there's some big time things these seniors can do. Malik Rutherford needs 5 catches to pass Calvin Johnson for second for all-time receptions. I don't think he's going to get to Kelly Campbell. He would need 22 for that.
That would be the most insane. That would be like that have to be an NCAA record, wouldn't it? Like that's probably like more than the all-time record for catches in a game. There's probably some dude that caught like 15 jet sweeps or something in a game, but like I don't know. That would be up there. 22 is like too crazy.
I'll look that up. But also Haynes King needs like 180-ish passing yards to pass Joe Hamilton for all-time single season passing yards. So there's one. Let me see. Single game record in
While you're looking that up, I'll answer this Jeep Wade question. Did I talk to Jeep? Yeah, I've talked to Jeep and I've talked to Buster. I need to message Norv. I forgot to do that. All those guys we have great relationships with. They're all really good people. That's one thing I'll say about Brent. He hasn't really brought in a lot of like unpleasant human beings. Like he's hired really good people. They just ChatGPT said 23, Alex.
Yeah, 23, Tyler Jones, Eastern Michigan, and Randy Gatewood, UNLV, tied most receptions all time in a single game.
So getting to Jeep, I think Jeep just wasn't happy with the grind with Brent. Like I said, he had an air mattress in his office. Like that's never a good sign, like to me, of stability and long-term. Like I think he just was grinding himself to a pulp and needed to change the scenery, and Brent obviously agreed with it. So,
I've reached the bottom of the list on the board.
Good. I'm optimistic. The big thing to me, like when you look at all of this, regardless of what happens in the bowl game, I would love to see Haynes get his 10th win. I think that'd be awesome. But this has been a successful season. They're progressing. And you're always going to have setbacks. There's not going to be ultimate continuity in staffs anymore. It didn't even happen when O'Leary and them were coaching, or Bobby Ross or whatever. They're getting picked off from guys. So like, as long as you keep the guy running the show, the idea is that you'll get better. So I think you got to just let it all play out. Yes, it feels like the entire month of November and the first week of December were a giant, was like that meme playing over and over again. A guy getting kicked in the crotch over and over again. But like, the highs were higher this year, right? And that's what each year, if the highs are getting higher, you're progressing. You're not at the mountaintop. You're nowhere near the mountaintop. You're nowhere near where Brent thinks the ceiling of the program is. Personally, whenever I say something negative, he always, that's when the little Georgia Tech thing comes up. Like, he doesn't believe in that, and so we'll see what happens, man. We don't know who the players are, who they're going to get out of the portal. What, I know they're fishing with big people now, so that's an interesting piece of all of this. And he had literally one of the best offensive coordinators in college football last year come interview for a job at his spot. That would never have happened the past, really, since O'Leary left, probably. So like, that is a step forward. So we'll see. I don't know. Someone asked me is asking about the grind. Is it a grind? Yeah. Brent works harder than any head coach that I've seen. Him, Golish, there's a couple of them that are like that. They clearly don't sleep a lot, like grind. That's what he was taught to do. That's, his wife understands it, is cool with it. He grinds when he needs to grind and takes off when he needs to take off. That is not for everyone. If you are not used to that or haven't been around that, then it ain't for you. And I know from the jump early on that there were some guys on staff that couldn't handle it, and all of them are now gone. So like, it is what it is, man. Like, it's funny because I had a friend call me, who many of you might know, and ask me if he should take a job working for Brent. And I said no, because I knew that person's personality and their interest in having a family life. And I was like, the work life balance ain't gonna be for you, man. And it wasn't a coach, it was an off the field spot. But like, I was like, I told the person straight up, I was like, this ain't for you, like, from everything I know about it. And when Brent asked me about it, I was like, yeah. And he was like, no, you're right. Because I described the situation, he's like, you're 100% right. That person could not work for me. So like, you gotta know what you're getting into. And he is also still learning on the job too. You know, he's still a young head coach in terms of his experience and stuff, and is still figuring things out. So we'll see what happens.
There's a reason some of these older like coaches are getting out of it now, and other like,
They're miserable. Everyone, Sark, all of the dudes are miserable.
and,
Kirby, every one of them hates it right now. Like, every one of them no one likes it.
and some of the younger guys are like I mean the BC coach left for a coordinator job in the NFL. Like, it's NFL's not as much of a grind. I mean, it's a grind, but it's not like you're doing something every single day like college coaching is now.
No, you're not up till 10, 11 o'clock at night talking to teenagers in the 6 a.m. staff meeting, like, and not seeing your kids. Like, they have really structured time schedules in the NFL, and there's only so much you can do. And they have off seasons. They actually have real off seasons. And there just isn't one in college because of recruiting. The portal situation's so nuts and out of control that there's nothing you can do there either. So until this starts to settle down, there's contracts and some accountability, which I think is coming. It's just going to take, more complaining and stuff happening to get there. But I think that we're getting closer to it. Everyone's unhappy. So usually when that happens, that's when something changes.
I'll say this about the portal thing on as far as our end. The change this year to January has been very good because I
Yes.
remember last year, me and Kelly were like, it went signing day straight into portal like that next week and all the way up to Christmas. It was like I pulled over in a parking lot at the mall here in Rome to write a transfer story. Like, I was on the way to watch Christmas tournament basketball, and that last
The
year, like,
spring portal, like, that was
yeah.
a bunch of crap. Like, you basically sat there. Like, Brent was like, he said he spent like a bunch of time just making sure everyone was cool. Like, and sitting on kids to make sure no one poached them. Like, and that's what you had to do. Cause remember Tennessee, like, lost Nico, and like, they were certainly trying to reach out to Haynes and those people, like everyone was that was in need of a quarterback. They were after the two quarterbacks. Like, this is hopefully, at least now there'll be some finality to it. So we can enjoy like the spring. The spring game. Brent straight up was like, I didn't play like this guy and this guy in the spring game because I did not want to put them on tape for people to see them. Because remember, Kilo Stone was the MVP of the spring and then went in the portal like right after the spring game that year. Because, and Nancy remembers, he went in the portal because they gave him an MVP award after the spring game. Like, this is our breakout spring guy. And then he went into the portal and went to Ole Miss. Because there was no tampering then. No, not at all. It just is what it's all insane, man. Like, so like you just they gotta keep figuring things out. They probably need to have some contracts and collective bargaining and some other things and some guardrails in place. But we'll see what happens. It wasn't Lane, by the way. It was the staff. Lane had no idea who Kilo Stone was. That's a very funny story. That I'll tell another time down when Akila's a little further away from playing.
I just remember us like having three receivers go both ways last year on both teams because they didn't want to play any of those receivers.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not playing Dean Patterson, and they all had injuries.
Yeah,
like, I mean, one of them did get like hurt, but the other two, they were like holding back because they didn't want to show them in the spring game. Like, it was just, this was a lot of nonsense, and so.
I think Zion Taylor had a touchdown catch for one team, and he had like the catch on the game winning drive for the other team. It was well,
they couldn't even, at one point we were in the box, they couldn't keep track of which team was which. Like, and they had like the wrong. It was very funny.
They had the Pritchett kid with a touchdown run on JP Powell.
Yep. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm hopeful they'll get things figured out. You gotta be optimistic. You can't be walking around bummed out.
I was this week, I'll admit it. Kelly got some depressing texts from me, but I've gotten better. You can't like Key said, you just got to go. Like, you got to find a way. You got to move to the next thing. You can't stay down on one thing very long. You just got to find a way to make it work. So it's a crazy time in college football, and coaches are trying to figure it out. So
we'll take this as the last question of the night. From the chat about, can 2026 kids go into the portal? And the answer is yes, you can. Or you can be asked to be released from your letter of intent. So there's two different pathways. So that's how Cal got. What is that dude's name, Alex? The quarterback,
offensive lineman. Oh
no, the quarterback from.
The guy with a long name.
Jaron.
Yes.
He was at Oregon, and then they signed some other quarterbacks, and he was like, I'm out, and went to Cal. So that kid actually went into the portal, but he stepped foot on campus and started school. So right now you could ask for a release from your NIL, which might happen at some places.
The kid from right up the road here at Cass, he just Bear McQuarter. He after the Michigan stuff last few weeks, he got out of his NIL and he's signed with Auburn now. So
you only have to go into the portal if you've gone to class, like if you step foot on campus and started school. You can even, I think, work out with the team or whatever. But as long as school hasn't started, like, you're safe. So when school starts, you have to go in the portal, and that could still happen. But on that note, everybody, appreciate everyone for joining us. We will be busy this week. Check out Jacketsonline to get all your Georgia Tech stuff. And thanks to Alex for joining me tonight. And we will be back. And I apologize to the guy at Cal. I'll have to learn his name at some point.
Jared Saga Pulatele.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll be in Orlando later this week, bowl time.
Cool. Well, appreciate everybody, and we will see you soon. Probably, I guess, after the next game. So, be good.
Yep. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. whatever you, happy Festivus, whatever you're into.